Hi, I'm Sam Hawley, coming to you from Gadigal Land. This is ABC News Daily. When he lost the 2020 US election, Donald Trump couldn't accept it. Now he's been charged with conspiring to try and overturn the result. It's the third time the former president has been indicted this year. But still, he's pushing ahead with his campaign to return to the White House. Today, legal analyst Jill Wine-Banks, who was one of the prosecutors during the Watergate scandal, on why Donald Trump's legal woes aren't hurting his standing in the Republican Party, but why he might not escape jail.
Our streets! Whose streets? Our streets! Get back, ladies! Get back, ladies! We have a breach of the Capitol! Breach of the Capitol to the upper level! Priority. We demand protest. Peace circle. Breach the line. We need backup.
Jill, we're hearing sounds there from the Capitol riots that unfolded on January 6, 2021. It was shocking to watch that, wasn't it?
It was, absolutely. But even more shocking is what preceded it that we now know about and what has followed it that we now know about.
The only way we're going to lose this election is if the election is rigged. Remember that. It's the only way we're going to lose this election.
So we were getting ready to win this election. Frankly, we did win this election.
The election was the lie. That was the big lie. You know, they talk about the big lie. And they know it, and they don't want to talk about it.
So let's look then at what preceded those riots, because this is what the charges against Donald Trump are all about. Broadly, Jill, what's he accused of?
He is being charged with attempting to conspire with others to prevent the peaceful transfer of power, which is essential to a democracy, with his attempt to influence and prevent the counting of American voters' votes and to prevent the official proceeding of counting them, which is part of our electoral system.
Good evening. Today, an indictment was unsealed, charging Donald J. Trump with conspiring to defraud the United States.
The indictment was filed by Special Counsel Jack Smith in the Federal District Court in Washington.
The attack on our nation's capital on January 6, 2021, was an unprecedented assault on the seat of American democracy.
So Jack Smith, he's accused Donald Trump, who of course is running to be president again, of taking part in 3 conspiracies, which include 4 charges. What are the charges?
The charges are conspiracy to defraud the United States, but then he's also charged with a conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding. That official proceeding was the counting of the electoral ballots by Congress on January 6th.
It was fueled by lies. Lies by the defendant targeted at obstructing a bedrock function of the U.S. government, the nation's process of collecting, counting, and certifying the results of the presidential election.
He's charged with a conspiracy to obstruct and the actual obstruction of an official proceeding. Then he is charged with a 3rd conspiracy, which is a conspiracy against rights, and that is the rights of American voters to vote and to have their vote counted.
In this case, my office will seek a speedy trial so that our evidence can be tested in court and judged by a jury of citizens.
And there are, by the way, 6 co-conspirators who are in this indictment. They aren't charged in this indictment.
Yeah, and they're not named in the indictment, those 6 co-conspirators. This is extraordinary, Jill. A former president is charged with trying to undermine democracy, to stay in office, even though voters had kicked him out.
Yes, and there's just no getting around what that means to democracy. And if I could just say, as to the 6 unnamed co-conspirators, I think they are identified in such a way that I could tell you who each and every one of them is. And also point out that 5 of them are lawyers. which doesn't speak highly of my profession, I'm sorry to say. And we saw the same thing in Watergate, where many of the co-conspirators were lawyers.
All right, so tell me, Jill, what does this indictment say about how Mr. Trump and these co-conspirators sought to reverse the election result? What were they doing?
They were taking actions that they thought would work. We elect electors. We don't actually elect the president. And they created slates of fake electors who were ready to vote at the Electoral College for Donald Trump instead of the winner of the popular vote in their state. He pressured his vice president, saying, Mr. Vice President, you have the power to reject any slate of votes. And if you can just hold it off long enough, I can get state legislatures to help us out on this.
And I hope Mike is going to do the right thing. I hope so. I hope so. Because if Mike Pence does the right thing, we win the election.
He tried to pressure state legislatures. He did many other things that were terrible. He, of course, created the big lie.
We had an election that was stolen from us. It was a landslide election, and everyone knows it, especially the other side.
On which the rioters of January 6th based their actions. They felt that he had convinced them that the election was stolen from him unfairly.
We're going to walk down, and I'll be there with you. We're going to walk down because you'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength, and you have to be strong.
And there was no excuse for his behavior.
Yeah, and when all else failed, when he couldn't succeed in overturning the popular vote, the riots unfolded.
Right, exactly.
They're requesting additional resources on the east side as they've broken into that window and they're trying to kick it in.
He really encouraged them. He said, go to the Capitol.
We're going to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue. I love Pennsylvania Avenue. And we're going to the Capitol.
He gave a speech saying, this election has been stolen from me, and if you don't fight, you will not have a country left.
We fight like hell, and if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore.
Well, Jill, we do speak to you rather often when Donald Trump is indicted because, of course, this is the third time. It's getting a little confusing. Just remind me what he's also being indicted for before this day.
Okay, so he's been indicted by the federal government for the wrongful retention of classified documents that endangered our national security, for showing those documents to people without security clearances, and for trying to destroy the surveillance tapes of his own property that showed him hiding the boxes, moving them around, the boxes that had the documents in them. He's been indicted by the state of New York for business fraud in reporting monies that he supposedly used for one purpose, but actually used to pay a porn star for hush money. He is, we think, about to be indicted for calling the Secretary of State of Georgia and saying, just find me 11,780 votes. That's all I need to win.
So what are we going to do here, folks? I only need 11,000 votes. Fellas, I need 11,000 votes. Give me a break.
So there are a lot of legal issues facing him, but there could be more as we discover more evidence.
So a fourth indictment could come quite soon.
It's expected in the month of August.
So Trump's response to all of this, of course, is denial.
These four horrible, radical left Democrat investigations of your all-time favorite president, me, is just a continuation of the most disgusting witch hunt in the history of our country.
The justice system, he says, in America is lawless. Typical Trump.
Yes, he is continuing to say it is a witch hunt and I'm innocent and I'm a victim. I'm doing this for you.
Witch hunt, scam, hoax. It's called election interference, and they're doing the best they can with it.
and he's raising money to pay his legal bills. He is supposed to be rich, but he's raising money from ordinary citizens to pay legal bills, which is a shame.
So, Jill, how is this all going to play out from here? We know that Donald Trump told the conservative radio host John Fredericks recently that he'd run for president from jail if he had to.
If going forward, right, you get these indictments, you get convicted and sentenced, does that stop your campaign for president if you're sentenced?
Not at all. Even the radical left crazies are saying, no, that wouldn't stop. And it wouldn't stop me either.
And of course, in the United States, he can do that. Jill, surely the Republicans, they don't want a candidate who has so many charges against him. That surely he can't be their pick.
You would think so. That does sound so logical, and it seems right to me that they wouldn't. But Donald Trump has a cult following that is so loyal to him that they will never change their mind. In the primaries, he is by far the leading candidate. He will raise more money as a result of this last indictment. That's what he's used every other indictment for, is to raise money, claiming they're after me, they're hurting me because I'm protecting you. So protect me by sending me money. I don't think that he could win a general election. I think that his baggage is too much for independent voters, for Republicans who are the old-fashioned Republicans of the days of yore, as opposed to the MAGA cult followers that he has amassed.
Jill, you mentioned democracy. What does this all mean for democracy in the United States?
I think that this is a good step to restoring the rule of law and democracy, to hold him accountable. No one in America is above the law, including the president. It is unprecedented to have an indictment of a former president, but it's unprecedented to have a president who deserves to be indicted.
And together we will make America powerful again. And we will make America great again. Thank you, Pennsylvania. God bless you, Pennsylvania.
Jill Wine-Banks is a former US federal prosecutor, MSNBC legal analyst and author of Watergate Girl. Donald Trump is now facing 78 criminal counts. If he's convicted of all of those, he'd likely spend the rest of his life in prison. Mr. Trump's hush money trial is set for March next year. His Mar-a-Lago classified documents trial will begin in May. This episode was produced by Veronica App, Nell Whitehead and Sam Dunn, who also did the mix. Our supervising producer is David Cody. I'm Sam Hawley. ABC News Daily will be back again tomorrow. Thanks for listening.
Subscribe to listen to more free podcasts or download the ABC Listen app and stream ad-free.